Okay, this is my final project for AWD at Ranken. It is a CRUD application inside of Windows Forms, and this is instead of going the normal route, which would be to create some sort of like logistics app that connects to the database and is able to do CRUD applications from there. I decided to create a database-driven game uh, that runs inside of a database local file that persists even after the game closes. So all information is able to be recovered. Um, this is ran off of a crate system. So you're able to buy crates to roll items. All rolled items will be put in your inventory, which is connected to the database. And all inventory items are being able to be put in the market, which is where you're going to be able to sell crates for money. You're also going to be able to increase your roll luck for each crate to get better items potentially. And then your history tab is where everything is logged. So like won items, any luck increases, any sold items, stuff like that. Um, And you have your stats page, which just shows you how many crates you've opened, how much money you've spent on crates, how much money you've earned from your items. And then it shows you your total profit, which will change color whether you're in the negative or the positive. And then you're able to reset your game, so this clears all of your balance data and all of your user data. And it's basically like a hard reset. Nothing will save. So if you had to restart for whatever reason, this would be your button to click. Um, so if we roll, we have enough. I started it out with $100 because I felt like when I was testing, that was the amount to start getting decent rolls. But then I also found the game to be too difficult. So for testing purposes, I increased the value of items a decent amount. Um, but it can always be put back down by changing item value. So if we just start out with a decent crate and we roll it, it does this cool little roll animation that I was able to do. I'll show that off in a second with the code, but it'll show you the item that you get, you can return, and it'll show up in your inventory, the price. And when I was building this, I wanted to create like a stock market kind of feel. So every so often, I think it's like every 5 seconds, the price of every unique item will update. And whenever you sell it at that time, you will get the updated price. So it works almost flawlessly. I've came across no bugs with it. I think it's great. Um, but as you can see, we sold that item for about 160 something dollars or however much that was. You are able to buy more crates with that money and it does another roll animation. You get a new crate. If you have more than one, it all shows up in your inventory. So this is our inventory. This is what it looks like now. This is what your market looks like now. One of the main features I had for the read part of CRUD was the filters. So you're able to filter by favorites, which we have no favorites right now. You're able to filter by your rarity. So like commons will appear, uncommons will appear, rares will appear, and obviously we have no epics, no legendary, and no mythics. But if we show all, and let's say this is a really high price, I kind of like it, I'm going to favorite the item. Now our favorite actually shows up because it is now a favorited item. And if we go back into our market, now that this is a favorited item, you are no longer able to accidentally sell the item. So we're clicking and it's not able to be sold. It is a disabled item and it is now safe in your inventory until you unfavorite the item and now you're able to sell it again. But we like this item, so we're going to keep it favorited. And we're keeping it favorited because in here, there's also a filter where you were able to filter by common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, mythic, but we don't have those. You're gonna also or sort by unfavorited. So if you're looking at your all and you have multiple items favorited, so if we unfavorite this and sell it and get a couple more items, you can also just hit return prematurely because the animation's just for show. But let's say we have a few more items and we favorite a lot of them. So we have a decent amount of items favorited. And we go to the market, we see that now there is like, these are in the way. You have to scroll down to sell the items because you don't necessarily want to sell these because you like them. They're favorited. You can sort by unfavorited, and the favorited items will not show up. So right now we only have 2 unfavorited items. Those are the 2 that'll show up. It really clears up the UI. I thought it was a cool little addition. And we can just sell those. And if we go back, all of our favorited items are still here. So we can just unfavorite those. And now that we've done all these transactions and crate openings and stuff, we can look at our history. This will show us all of our history from everything we've done, how much we sell things for, our crates. This updates every 5 seconds. It also shows how long ago this stuff happens. Like this was 3 minutes ago. Just now we sold that knife. If we go to the dashboard, we have recent history. This only shows the last 10. We don't have that much history, so it still looks about the same, but it does only show 10. I didn't want to be too much. This is our dashboard. It shows us how many items we have, our best item value. So right now it's 78. If we were to open a epic crate, it would be a lot higher because those are worth a lot more. We go in our best items now, 600 bucks, updates automatically. You don't have to do anything. I also put this increased luck button in here because when I was testing with the lesser value items before I updated the price on them to make them worth a little bit more, I found that it was really hard to keep going. You'd have to hit the reset button a lot, and it was just difficult to do the game and win. So I had an increased luck button. This will increase your luck for your rolls. I have a whole luck system in here. And as you can see, now our profit is very low because we just bought that very expensive crate. But if we sell our really expensive item, profits back up. And if we look at our database, these are our database files. We have one for users. This holds all of our balances, our total crate openings for this. It shows how much we spent, earned, and then it also stores our bad luck streak. So it was another thing I added because the game was very difficult. If you have like 10 really bad items in a row, it would up your luck by about 20%. Then as soon as you got anything over like a rare item, it would reset and all that luck that you had will go back down. It's just to keep you in the game a little bit longer. But if we update this database, it'll show our current stats. So right now we have 730 bucks. We have opened 9 crates. We've spent a decent amount. We've earned way more, and we have no bad streak because we just got that mythic item, or not mythic, epic item. But if we open a basic crate and it's not a very bad item or not a very good item, um, it'll update our bad luck streak. The next thing we have is our inventory. So if we just get a few items into our inventory, you can see we have a decently filled inventory full of items. We can look in our database, and as you can see, they do save all of our items in here. This is where it's pulling from. So it'll store the value of items. It checks and see if it is a favorited item. So if we favorite these 2 purple items, they will be favorited in the database. So these 2 are favorited. These are the ones we favorited. It has IDs for all of our items, and it has our rarity. So I use an enum system. So 3 would be epic, 2 would be rare, 1 would be uncommon, and 0 would be common. And it goes up to 4, which is legendary, and 5, which is mythical. But we also have our history entries. So this is for those history tabs. And this logs everything you do. So it tells you what you did, when you did it, and in the code, it takes when you did it and the time that it is, and it subtracts it, and it gets how long ago. So that's how we're getting this 1 minute ago, 7 minutes ago thing happening right here. You can also clear it out if it gets too, like, there's too much there, you don't want to see it all. Clears out, but it keeps all your other data. You just don't see all that history because it can get kind of messy. But you can obviously get more history back if you'd like. It'll all show up in your database updates as well. This is my context. This is where my database items, like my database objects that are inside of my project files, interact with the actual database. So we have one for the inventory, one for our history list, and one for the user. And the history entries, this is for this is for our history. So this will get, like, it'll give it an ID, it'll set a message, it'll say created at, and it'll get the date time. So the date time is just like what it is right there at that second. And our time ago string, whenever we call the just now or like time since thing, we call the time ago, and the time ago calculates how long ago it was. So if it's like under a minute, let's say just now. If it's greater than a minute, it'll count for the next 60 minutes and say minutes ago. And if it's more than 60 minutes, it'll count in hours. So it'll go by that. And if it's more than 24 hours, it'll count by days. And this will work whether you close the app or not. It saves it in the database. It creates it at runtime. So at runtime, it'll recalculate your time ago and everything will be updated and it'll work perfectly. I haven't seen any bugs with it. Our inventory item, this is how we get and set our inventory. It'll take your ID, it'll take the item name, item rarity, your value, and the is favorited. And it also gets the current value of the item by going to the items list and grabbing the item name and then the price. Because for my system, since the market is volatile, we want the current value that you get right there and not the fluctuating value that keeps fluctuating over time. But those are all the database files. This is how it's connecting to the AppDB and then connecting to the database. In my models folder, we have the individual items that work with all the other stuff in the project. So this will be like your crate. Your crate will have a rarity, which I calculated with an enum. It will have a name. It'll have a price. Uh, the crate rarity is mostly for the color of the crate, because in the crates tab, you can see each crate is a different colored. It goes off of the enum. It has a list of crate items. So whenever a crate is created, it will have a list that contains a bunch of set items, and your crate items are going to look like this. So your crate item is going to have the item actually inside of it, and it gives it a probability. So wherever the probability is set, which is going to be it's going to be inside the crate manager, it's going to set the probability for each item in each crate. And speaking of our items, we're going to have our item object. This is going to store the name, the rarity, the base price. It'll have the actual price. So the base price is what the market goes off of when it calculates all the new changing prices. Our price that we're calling everywhere else is going to take the base price and our market multiplier. The market multiplier is what's going to change over time. So this is what we're actually getting whenever it updates. It updates the market multiplier every couple seconds. And then when this updates, the price updates, and we're calling the price. So the price is what's going on all over the place. Our market multiplier will start at 1.0. In our market service, it's going to be recalculated every so often, and it's going to change each item individually. Our items list, this is the list of every item in the game. So it'll have the name of the item, it'll have the rarity and the price, and it stores it all in a list. and it has common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, and mythical items. It stores it in a dictionary because it is easier to look up and read objects in a dictionary than a list, because if it's in a list, you can accidentally overwrite or delete items when you don't want to. So I decided to put it in a dictionary. We have a function to get an item. This is what the crate manager calls whenever it puts it inside the crate. It grabs the item and then it grabs the value of the item at the time where it grabs it. And then if it doesn't have an item, it throws an exception and it catches the exception in the crate manager. And then this is the dictionary that our crate manager calls. This is going to be the rarity enum. This is just the public enum that all the items reference. So whenever we're calling our rarity an item, we get it from this rarity enum class. And then we finally have the user. The user, this is going to be what the user table calls for the database. We get the ID. It should only be one. There should never be two users. I created a single user game. So there's logic in here that I'll show that only checks for one. If it doesn't have one, it creates a new one. And if it already has one, it overwrites it. But we set our RD here. We have our balance being set. We have all of our stats being set. So this is our luck and our crate stats and our money stats. This blank constructor is for the database. This is what the database actually uses, but we sometimes call user outside the database because I have local users set to save data into the database. So we call this constructor when that happens. And we also have a function here to check if we have enough money for crates. So when we buy crates, we reference this function. If we don't have enough, it calls or it returns false. And I have a call for whenever it returns false. Those are our models. We then have our services. This is where all the logic happens. So in our crate manager, we have our list. This is going to be our list of crates. We have every crate in here. So each crate gets a name, a price, and a crate rarity for the color. And each crate gets different items. So this crate has common, uncommon, and rare items. These are all the items that the basic crate contains. And it grabs the item by the name, and then it also gets the probability. So this number is the probability item. All these numbers add up to 100%. So if we take numbers from here all the way down to here, it'll add up to 20%. As you can see, getting these rare items or more expensive items are more rare. And then it adds the crates, or it adds this basic crate to the crates list all the way up here. And it does this for a basic crate, uncommon crate, rare crate, epic crate, legendary crate, and then mythical crate. Each one has a different price and it has different chances for everything. But then we have a function to actually buy the crate. So whenever we call the buy crate function, it checks if we have enough money. If it returns true, then it will proceed with wherever we called it. So right now it's checking for the price at runtime. If we don't have enough money, it's just going to return false and it's going to say we don't have enough money in our thing here. There's not enough money. Then we also have our luck. So this is how I'm going to calculate luck for every crate. We have a random. This is going to be used for random changing luck. We have our global luck. This is what we're going to be using for whenever we increase our luck here. It's going to increase our global luck just slightly by like 0.02%. Then we also have our open crate function. This is where all of the main logic happens when we open crates. So it's going to take a total late and it's going to take the sum of the probability on each item. And then it's going to calculate the luck, which is going to call the get total luck, which is down here. This is going to take the get early game luck because I decided that whenever the game is harder, early in the game you would have more luck because by how many crates you've opened. So if you open 10 crates, you have a 0.25% increase in luck. And if you open 25 crates, that goes down to 15. And then after that, it goes down to 0. So you have no more help. So it calls the get total luck, and the get total luck also um, it also calls the get pity luck. So the pity luck is what we are using the bad luck streak for. So in our crate manager, our pity luck is used to calculate how much we get from our bad luck streak. So if the minimum is between our bad luck streak and this multiplier, this is our cap, then it gives us about 0.2% increase for each time we get a bad item. Um, that's what that's doing. And then we are also applying a roll. This is where the random comes in. Then we are applying our luck for higher rolls. So this is where having more luck is helpful. We're taking our total weight and our booster roll. Our booster roll is just where all of our luck is coming from. And then it is coming to our current. This is our current luck. And then it's going through each item. It's taking the luck, and at the final roll, it's going to return the item based on the luck in the updated pity. Oh, yeah, the updated pity resets the luck. So it's going to reset the luck here after we get an item, if it's any better. So update pity, if the item is below an epic, it's going to reset it to 0. And this increased luck function, that's just what's happening whenever you're clicking this increase luck button. This is the crate manager. We also have the history manager. This is going to be used to add entries into the history database. It's going to be used to get all entries from a list. And this is going to be from the get recent. So this is what the main dashboard is using. It's calling the get recent function. Then we also have the clear history button. This is going to call the clear history function from here. It's just going to delete all the data from the database, and it's going to save those changes. And that's where this comes along, and it deletes all history data. That's it for the history manager. We have the inventory manager. This is going to add items to the database. This is also going to remove items from the database. It's going to get our database inventory. It's going to get our best item from the database. It's going to get how many items we have in the database. It's going to update items that we have. So this is going to be updating our favorites. And then we also have the market manager. This is the most important thing that makes everything run. We are going to have our market items. That's what you're going to be seeing in here. These are all your market items. We are also going to have our update price. This is what updates the price of every item every so often. So whenever we call this update price every 5 seconds or so, we're going to get the volatility of each item by its rarity, and we are going to multiply it by about 2, and we're going to subtract the volatility of each item. So this is going to be the volatility of each item. Each common has about a 2%, so it fluctuates between 2%. This one fluctuates between 4%. This one 6, 8, 10, 15. 15 is quite a bit. But it gets our change percent, and it takes that, and it's clamped between a 70% of the original price and a 200% of the original price, and it just applies that. So every so often, about 5 seconds, it calculates whether between 70 and 200 it should be based on the volatility of the item, which is defined right here. And then we also have the get price function. This is where we're getting the price in the market at that time to update our balance from. Our last service is going to be the user service. This is where we update our user so that we can update our user database here. So in user service, we have right here our get user. This is where we're referencing our user everywhere in our code. If there is no user, it's going to create a new one with this data, starting money, and resetting all our stats. If there isn't one, it's going to add a user, and our user is going to default to these stats. And it's going to save those changes. Whenever we save a user, so this is whenever we update our balance and stuff, it's just going to take all the updated data in here and it's going to update it into the database and it's going to save the database changes. We also have the reset full database. This is whenever you are tired of playing the game or you don't have enough money or you need to reset, you can go to stats, reset the game. It's going to bring up this confirmation window. All data will be lost. To say yes, resets all your stats to 0. Everything's reset, balance is reset, crates are reset, inventory is reset, markets reset, history is reset. We could check our database and everything will be null because we just reset our game. So our database is going to be completely empty. That's where that's coming from. And I think that is the last thing we had in our user service. Yep. So the last thing in the entire project application is going to be our user controls, and there's quite a few of these. So our first one, we're going to go down the list. When we start the game, we go into our dashboard control. So in our dashboard control, we are going to view the code. Here is about just where it's going to build this whole dashboard. So you're going to take the balance, we're going to get the items. This is where the items label gets updated. We're also going to get our history. This is where we're calling the get recent history. We're going to refresh our UI. So we have a iRefreshable up here. And what this means is if any data changes, so like if the price changes or anything changes, it's just going to use the iRefreshable, which is an interface to refresh the UI. So back in our database control, that's where this is coming in. So every time price changes, resets all the UI items. So it resets our history and it resets our items. Next is our our crates control. So if we look in here, this is our crates control. Look at the code. This is going to be calling our get crates function. It's going to be updating our price. And for each crate, it's going to make a new crate card control. That is how this crates gets filled up. Each one of these are cards. And every time we open this crates thing, it makes all these cards automatically. So if we were to add a crate, it would just go right here automatically. And then we update our balance every time we refresh. And this checks and sees if we have enough money for our crates. So whenever we hit buy crate, it's going to call that function right here and it's going to check and see if we have enough money or not. And we check that whenever we hit that button, we go into our crate card control. So in our crate card control, this is going to be the code for each crate card. It's going to build it. So this is going to be the color stuff. This is where the enum came in handy. So it changes the color based on the rarity of the item or the rarity of the crate. And it's going to get the crate price from the crate object, which is going to be in our models right here. And also, this is our button that we click to buy. If we click it, it's going to check and see if we can buy the crate using that buy crate function. That's going to call the have enough money and everything else down the chain. If we can buy a crate, we are going to update our stats. We are going to update our balance, and we're going to save those changes to the database. And then we're going to clear this control out, and we're going to add a spin animation control. This is going to be the animation that I had for rolling. If it can't do that, it's going to throw a not enough money error, and it's going to give us that label down there. But since we usually have enough money, it'll bring us to our spin animation. This is going to be using our timer, which is set to, I think, about 3 seconds every roll. It's going to give us an index. This is what it goes through to show each item name. And then it's just going to have a list of our items that we're spinning through. So when we start the spin, we're going to add all of our included items of the crate we just purchased into a list. We're going to set a timer, 80 milliseconds. It's going to go through each item in the index every 80 milliseconds and it's going to change the label color to the color of the shown item, and then it's just going to go through the entire list for the amount of time that it has, which right now is going to be 200 milliseconds or 2000 milliseconds. At 2000 milliseconds, it's going to stop spinning. It's going to actually open the crate, and whenever we open the crate, it's going to add this into the history. After we add that into the history, we are going to update the color. So this is going to be the shown color at the very end, just to double check and make sure we have the shown color for the right rarity that we pulled. It's going to show us what item we got, and I can even make it update and show us the price of the item. So like we can just put 4 and then 1 dot item dot price. And now if we save it and we close out of here and we reopen our project, after reopening, if it ever reopens, there we go. After reopening, we can roll, and it's going to say this is what we got. And since it's not using the dash C like I usually do, this is what it's calculating. But if we close it out and just do dash C for currency, save it, reopen it, there we go. And we buy a crate. It'll say we won scratch knife for 12 bucks. That's kind of nice. I didn't put that there because it was just clutter. You can just look at inventory for that, but that is a possibility. Then we have our return button. This is just going to clear the spin control out, and then it's going to add the crate control back. So that's what's happening whenever we go here, crate, we roll, we click return. It's just going to clear this out, add the crate control back. That's all it's doing. Now, that's what I did wrong. There we go. Then we go to our, open this back up again. We go to our inventory control, which is right here. View code. All right, in our inventory control, this is going to set up our stats. So this is what you're seeing right here, these top 2 items. It's going to set up our combo box. This is going to be our entries. So whenever we look in here, those are all those entries. It's going to default to our all entry shown. It's just going to default to this one. And then it's going to load our inventory, which we call right here. This load inventory function is making our inventory in a variable. It is going to apply our filters. So whenever we select something, it's going to apply which one we selected, and it's going to display only that one. And then it's going to order by if it's favorited or not. And then it's going after that, it's going to order by rarity. So it should always put the rarest items first, but it should put favorited items before that. And then this is going to be reloading our inventory every time we change the filter. So if we have a bunch of items, we change the filter, it's reloading our entire inventory. And then this is going to be refreshing our inventory stuff. So we're going to be calling our inventory card control to build our inventory each time. This changes every time we buy an item. It just refreshes the UI. But our inventory card controls, there's not much in them. Actually, I don't think there's anything in them. It's just a label that's updated and then the favorited stuff. But let's see if I can see the code. There we go. This is our inventory card control. It builds it right here. We're calling the build when we create it. This is building it, just giving it the name, the color, and then it's just giving it the price. And it updates the favorite. So if you toggle favorite, it's going to update your favorite and then save it to database. That's how we save our stuff into here. saves it right here under is favorited. And then we update our UI saying it's favorited. So instead of this blank star, we fill it in with this full star. So whenever we do it, bam, switches, updates all at the same time. Untoggle that. So that is our card control for our inventory. We then have our market control. This one's a little bit more complicated. So we're going to view our market control code. This is going to have that filter create all our indexes. It's going to default them to all, and then it's going to load our market. And after it loads our market, it's going to check how much money we have for our luck button. So if we don't have enough money, this will be grayed out. But before it does that, it loads our market. So our market is going to be all this stuff. It is going to clear out our controls. So those are all the little individual sell item things. It's going to clear those out every time we load it. And then it's going to get our inventory. It's going to get the select one. It's going to apply all our filters just like it did in our inventory. And then it's going to order it just like it did in our inventory. And we're going to rebuild our UI. This is going to be the actual individual market controls. This is the check for how much money we have for our disabling our luck button. And every time we change our index, it's going to reload the market. Every time we increase our luck, so when we hit our increased luck, it's going to actually call our increased luck that I showed you in our crate manager. Then it's going to update our balance and save our user because we just updated our balance, and it's going to add an entry. It's going to check again, so you can't keep pressing it. So every time you check it, or every time you click it, it checks again. And we're going to refresh our UI balance so it actually displays. We are going to refresh it. And then we're going to check and see if we have a low enough balance because I added a system. I'm not going to be able to show it to you here because I made the game a little too easy. But if you don't have enough balance and you try to, like, you sell something, and when you sell it, you still don't have enough balance for the lowest crate, it's going to call our day job control. And our day job is that, oh no, you have no money. You work the day job. And whenever you click this, it gives you $8. Give you the code for it. You click it, it gives you $8, and it adds it to our total, and it saves it, and it adds an entry for it, and it clears it out. That's all it does. It just gives you enough for our basic crate. But whenever the game was hard, this was really useful, but it's still in there. You just won't probably be able to see it because the game is a little too easy now. But it checks for low balance. When we actually build our market, it calls each market card. So each market card looks like this. I have a build market function that it calls, and that's just going to color. So whenever we're in our market, it's going to color this label. If we make a uncommon, we pulled a rare out of the uncommon, but this is what's changing. So it changes the color. Then it's going to get the price. So every time it updates, it's going to get the price. And then it's going to check and see whether it's favorited. If it's favorited, it grays out the button and it changes the text to item is favorited. So if we favorite an item and we go back to market, that's what it's changing. And then whenever we click the sell button, there's a lot of stuff happening here. This is just an error check. So if for whatever reason it doesn't work, we're going to catch the error. But first it's going to remove our item from our database, and then it's going to refresh our price. So this is just changing our prices here, and it's going to refresh it, which is going to refresh the UI. We are going to log the sale into our history, and then we're going to save our stuff to the database. Then it's going to, this is just to make sure if in case for whatever reason the item still is there. So you click the sell button and the item doesn't go away, just to make sure you can't cheat, this disables the button. But this is just a safety check. If anything, you don't really need it. It checks and see how much balance we have. So if we sell our item and we don't have more than $8, it does that little day job thing. This is going to be check and seeing if we have enough money for the luck button. If it doesn't have enough money, it calls this function, grays it out. Then we remove the card, so it's just going to remove it, and it's going to dispose, which is basically just deleting it off the face of the planet. And then we're going to be calling the refresh price. This is going to refresh every time our market manager updates. So every 5 seconds, this is going to refresh. And then this is our check for low balance. It's going to call the day job control, which is what I just showed you about a second ago. Our next thing we have is the history. History is real basic. We have, where is it? Right here. History is real basic. It is calling our get all entries function, and then it's going to clear it, and then every entry it has, so it refreshes every entry it has, it's just going to rebuild it and add it to the list. So every 5 seconds this refreshes, and I do that because it updates the time ago. So it's not outdated. This is always updated. We also have the clear history. This is just going to clear it. It's calling that clear history function, and it's going to get rid of the items. And we're refreshing our UI every time, every 5 seconds. Our next and final control is going to be our stats control. This is where all this is going to show. So in our stats control, we have our actual building of our total profit. So this is just going to calculate whether we have positive money or negative money. And then it's going to put the sign in front of the money, and then it's also going to change the color whether we have positive or negative. So like earlier we had positive, it was green. Now we have negative. If we were to sell this item, we would be back in the positives. Then it's also going to build our labels. So this is going to be building these 3 labels, updating the price on them. And then when we hit our reset game, we are going to go to our reset game control. And here it's going to display. So we hit reset game. This is what it's displaying. All data will be lost. Yes, you're sure. No, take me back. Nothing's lost. But if you hit yes, you're sure, it clears out everything. This is where it resets the full database. And then this is what we're calling to make sure we have the correct user, because this is the only way I was researching and able to find to put the new deleted, or not deleted, but new reset user in there, so it updates all of our UI. That's the only way I was able to find. But if you click no, it just goes right back to our stats control. And finally, we have our form 1. This is going to initialize. So like this is the window for all the controls. So when you hit the button, this window changes, but the form loads this side. So this is going to load all the buttons for us. So whenever the form loads, it's going to make sure we have our user service set up. It's going to have our user. This is a little bit of old code that isn't really needed anymore. It's going to set up our inventory manager, our crate manager. It's going to set up our market. It's going to set up the timer for the market. So this is what's going to tick down every 5 seconds. It's going to set up our history manager. And then whenever we boot up the app, it's going to load us into our dashboard, which is going to be this main control. It's just going to load us into this dashboard. It's going to disable the button every time it loads us in, and every 5 seconds, so every 5,000 milliseconds, it's going to update our price from the market, and it's going to refresh the current control. So this is what's actually refreshing the price every 5 seconds in our volatile market. And then we are going to have a load control function. This is going to clear the control from the form. It's going to make sure our doc is ready for a new one. So it's just going to fill up the screen right here, and it's going to add the said control to it. So we're going to put a control in here, and we're going to also, this is the refresh current control. This is just making sure that the update price is available to reach from the iRefreshable, the interface, and then it's just going to refresh the UI. This is where we're calling our load control. So if we hit the dashboard button, it's going to disable the dashboard button after enabling all the other buttons. And then it's just going to load the control in with all of the constructor parameters that we need. It's going to do that for the crates, the inventory, the market, the history, and the stats. And this is our enable all buttons function. And then this is going to be reloading the user after our reset. So whenever we hit reset, it's going to load us back to stats with the new user updated across the whole application. But that's all the code I had for my project. This took me about 3 to 4 weeks to finish. Um, I had fun with it. It was a learning experience, definitely. A bunch of stuff I didn't know I was gonna have to do, but I'm glad I was able to do it. Um, Miracle I was able to figure it out, but I'm very glad because now I have more knowledge than I think I've ever had about coding. So I was never able to do this before our class and after our class. This is now just a fun little project that behind it is a lot of code that is going to be very useful for actual functional applications that you're able to use in day to day. So I had a lot of fun. I look forward to what I'm going to learn next year, and I hope that the future students of this class also have as much fun as I did.